Hello, friends, Romans, and also countrymen, and welcome back to, whatever I'm calling this. Redstone Recipes, I guess. Anyway. Yes. This is the return of Redstone Recipes. I'm saying it now. Redstone Recipes is coming back. Anyway. Today, we're taking a look at a new build that I've started. Not completed yet, but, I'm working on this build for something that'll be fun. Anyway, if you missed the last video, let me just go over what all of this is. These are just my little module things that I'm using to make my life easier when making redstone stuff. So this gives me a redstone kit. This clears my inventory. This changes whether the day and night or weather cycles are on or off. And one thing I should note is that you can just see the command blocks display what's happening in the chat. That is on for a reason. Normally I have it off, but it's on because I want you guys to be able to see what's actually happening with the command blocks. And the reason I'm leaving this off is because if I leave it on, you'll see it just spams the chat. So I want you to actually be able to see that. So PvP game setup is the build that we're going to. Burp. We're here. So we've got our home teleport command block here. And one thing, you guys, if you're doing redstone and building worlds like this, definitely use SethBling's command block sign MC edit filter, because it makes life a lot easier, because you can basically translate signs into coordinates. Look up his video on that. It's very useful when doing redstone stuff. So anyway, let's get right into it. So I actually disconnected a piece of this the last time I tried to record it, so let me hook that back up. So this is the first bit I'll show you, the first time setup. So you'll notice I click it, and now I've got a thing that says kills, Splice 14, and then 0. And if there were more people in this world, it would display kills 0 for every single person who was on the server. Now, in the chat, you can see there, it created the objective kills. It set the display of the objective kills to the sidebar, so that's where it is, over in the corner over here. Then it set the display to health, all of that. That is something that doesn't show up in single player, so I'm not going to get into it. But it's, well, okay, I'll get into it a little bit. Basically, it's just, it'll display your health with a number 0 through 20 below every person's name. That's just what that does. And then it set the score of kills for player Splice 14, and this would apply to every single player on a server. Set everyone's kills to 1 and then 0. And the reason for that, and the reason that I broke this thing the last episode, or the last time I tried to record this, is that when you take that away, and let me just remove this command block here, just removes that objective. When you take that away, and you set this up here, you'll see that that sidebar piece doesn't pop up. And the reason for that is that it doesn't register that that has been set up until somebody actually gets a kill. So there's some sort of change in that. And so the reason, let me just remove this again. The reason that I have these set up is that just very quickly, as soon as the objective gets set up, this command block will give you 1 kill, and then this one will remove that kill just so that it automatically sets it so you'll have a display of 0 kills in the sidebar there. So that's the first part for this PvP map setup. And the idea for this, and the reason that I'm building it in the way that I am, is that I want it to be able to be kind of contained into almost a cube, that I can just MC edit, drop into any sort of like map that somebody builds. So if somebody builds a PvP arena, I can just drop this in, and this will do all the work, all the redstone work, and then all you need to do is just update certain coordinates and build in a few things into the map, and then everything will be pretty much ready to go without much work. That's the idea. So anyway, let me just show you what this does. First, let me just flick the start round thing. So, as you can see now, this is going to spam the chat, but as you can see, I'm running quite fast. I really should do this. Show you, I can jump 2 blocks in height now, so I have jump boost. And if I do something like this, game mode 1, or no, I'll just do S. Game mode S, you'll notice I'm not able to break blocks. So the idea is you're not able to break blocks. You swing your sword. You're instantly given a sword and a bow with 32 arrows, and you can run around quite fast. And when I flick this off, it says round has ended, and you'll hear some pistons going off, and I get some delicious meats here to heal or to feed me if need be. So what I'm going to do now is just go over what happened there. So this is the redstone behind it. I'm going to flick it on here in just a sec just to show you what it does. But what's happening here... Oh, let me change my game mode back. The power is coming through here into this redstone dot, and that's pushing this piston out. And now this has a block of redstone. And this is a really nice way to do just a toggle here. It's sending out a signal here, and sending out a signal here when it's extended. So, what happens when it extends, it sets off this command block here first, and it says begin. You probably missed that because the chat went super quick because of all the spamming, but that's... if I were to turn that off, it would say that. And I'm going to actually build into this whole setup here a set of game rule changing command blocks. These are the ones that are for the first setup button that set all of the game rules correctly just in case they aren't set correctly. So then, what it does is it sends a signal off this way, and it splits off in many directions. Now, the first thing that it does is go through this block, and this right here is a clock, and you may have seen it last episode. I showed it last episode, but I showed the super fast version of it. Now, what this clock does, this is the idea of this, is that it is set up like this, and when you turn it on, it flickers. Now, let me just explain the logic behind this. When it's like this, in additive mode, it means that, well, it's going to be hard to without explaining all of comparator logic, but the way comparators work basically is if a signal that's coming in to the side has the same, or sorry, if it has lower signal strength, then the comparator will stay on, but if it has higher signal strength, it will turn it off. That's in additive mode. Now, in subtractive mode, it's the reverse. If it's lower, it will turn it off. And the idea there is that the reason that it doesn't flicker in this mode is because the signal strength is lower by this point than it is at this point. But if I turn it into subtractive, what it's doing is the signal strength is getting lower, and so it's turning off the comparator, thus turning off this redstone for a brief second, which makes the comparator turn back on. So it's your basic clock setup. But the way that I'm doing this is I've put a repeater in here. And this is just nice because it allows me to change the speed of the clock very easily just by changing where the repeater is. So it just allows me to have a lot more control, and also a lot of redstone components have issues with the super fast version. So this slows it down just a little bit and also gives me a little more control over my clock without having to change too much redstone. In fact, without having to change any redstone. So that's that clock right here. So what that does is that flickers on and off at a pretty quick speed, and it's going to all of these command blocks, just these bottom ones, not these top ones here. And so what we've got is this is a potion effect. And here's where I'll flick this on so you can see what's going on. Now that I've flicked this on, if I go into my menu, you'll see I'll have speed 3, mining fatigue, and jump boost 2. And one thing that I should note, the mining fatigue is only there as sort of a placeholder. I'm actually going to have it convert you to adventure mode and give you minimal mining fatigue, just because what it does now is it slows everything down, which I don't like. But there are some things you can still break in adventure mode. So anyway, let me explain what's going on. You'll notice that these are flickering, and how I have it set up is these give you 1 second each of these effects. You can see this one here is the time. So it gives you 1 second each. So it gives you a second of speed 1, a second of mining fatigue, and a second of jump boost. And that runs out really quickly, of course. But because this is flickering on and off, you're infinitely going to have those potion effects until this gets turned off. And that's the really clever part about it, is that as soon as this gets turned off, I don't have to clear any potion effects. It just goes away instantly, because it's constantly updating these potion effects. And that way, you really don't have to worry about the potion effects running out. You can just have those effects for the duration of the round. So, let me turn this off, and you'll notice, bloop, some stuff happens. So that's all the other stuff that is getting set off here. So let me just go over what happens here first. First of all, it says the diamond has spawned. Oh, actually, I'll get into that in a sec. Sorry. These are the ones I want to talk about. So there's a slight delay here, and it clears everyone's inventory as soon as the round starts. And then the next thing it does is it gives you a bow. Actually, that's not a bow. That's this one's a bow. This one's the diamond sword, and this is 32 arrows. And the reason that there's a slight delay here is because if it cleared and gave you the items instantly, you wouldn't get the items because it would clear them as soon, like the same time you got them. So you need the slight delay, so it clears everything and gives you your full set of items. So once you've got that, then the next step is these set of blocks over here. But let me get into this real quick, because this is just really simple. Now, what I showed last time, and what's over right here, and I'll actually use that to demonstrate, is wireless redstone with command blocks. So if you didn't see this last episode, I'll just show you really quick. What happens here is that this redstone is being controlled by this command block, and it's completely wireless. So the idea behind that is this. Scoreboard objectives add, and I'm using CH1 to represent like channel 1, and then dummy. Now, what it does is it adds a dummy objective into the scoreboard thing, and a dummy objective can't actually be affected. It's just there to be a placeholder. But what it does is it creates this objective, and then over here, what I have is one of these clocks going on and off, and it's updating this command block. And this command block here is removing that objective. And so anytime it removes that objective, it sends out a pulse to this comparator. Now this is the least effective, well, not the least effective, but it's one of the less effective ways to string redstone this way, but I did it just because I wanted to start recording this video. But it sends out a pulse through this comparator, goes through the repeater just to extend the signal, and then goes up through here. And this is a T flip-flop, pretty easy T flip-flop. I may convert this to a smaller item hopper flip-flop. There are more methods for smaller, more compact T flip-flops, but I'm very comfortable with this one, so I use it. But the idea here that it is holding this piston open currently, and when it switches over, it pushes this piston up and holds and pulls this piston back. So you'll see this happens. It'll say over that command block over there says diamond has spawned. You'll see this pops up. So now there is a diamond here. Now this is not necessarily the final piece, the final setup for the PvP game. It is dependent on the PvP game, but it's a demonstration of what it could do, where when the round starts, it could essentially send out redstone signals from this box, and all you need to do is place these in your map, and you could activate all of the redstone from this little box without ever having to string redstone from it. You could just send it all out with wireless redstone. So this is very, very convenient because it makes this very modular. So the last bit here comes from when you close the lever, or flick the lever off. And granted, this is also not going to be operated by a lever. This is going to be operated by some sort of timer that's going to time either round length, or it's going to track number of kills that people have, and the round will end when a certain player has a number of kills, or has reached an objective, or something like that. Now, what these do here is this one says the round has ended. This clears everyone's inventory, and then after a 1 tick delay, it gives you 10 steaks, just in case you're hungry. And then it also adds the dummy objective again. And what that does is, because this is a T flip-flop, it closes this whole piston setup back up, so that when the round ends, this all gets closed back up. So this is the beginnings of my PvP map box that I'm going to be building. The idea is that it'll just be a big old cube that you can just copy and paste with MC Edit into a PvP map and throw these guys in. And then you'll be all set to pretty much run the entire map from this box. So, yes, that's the beginnings, and if you enjoyed, I would love it if you could rate, comment, and also subscribe. And comment with questions, because I know I may not be explaining this as well as I could, and Redstone is very confusing for a lot of people, and it takes a lot of practice. So if you have any questions of how things work or what things are doing, I can go over and explain them. I can respond in comments. And also, what you think would be a good feature for this box, because I'm not fully sure. I'm just building in some things that I think are basics, like just to make it more fun, speed upgrades and jump upgrades. But anything that would be, substantially cool that could go in this for a PvP map. Potentially building in different modes. So have the same map that could run maybe a Juggernaut mode where everyone's slow but super powerful. That's easy enough to build in. So that's the kind of thing that I'd like to hear. And pretty much, other than that, I'll be continuing this in videos as I go on, showing the progress of this as it gets more finished and as maps begin to get created by me and some friends. But yes, thank you for watching, and bye-bye.